Hi, happy December. I wanted to go over some stuff on my 51. I have it out and I was just giving it a wipe down. I thought I'd make this little video, kind of go over some of the things on this bike. Um, I've been restoring this bike I've had it for, it's been 20 years now. And I started restoring this bike probably about 10 years ago, or a little bit more. Might be 12 now. Um, but this bike, when I first got it, was pretty rough. I mean, it really was probably not a good candidate for restoration, but being that I am pretty persistent, I decided I was going to do restoration on it. It was probably good chopper material. The frame was wrong and a lot of the major components. But it had a real nice set of engine cases, so I kind of did this whole build around this set of cases. This is an early VIN 51. So finding the original frame was probably the most important piece to the puzzle. This had a 52 frame when I got it that had the neck cut on it and probably had some work done on the neck area. So anyway, let's start from the front here. I got this wheel on here last year. This came from my friend Wayne out in Pennsylvania. A lot of you know Wayne. This had a restored rim on it with original spokes that were recatted. But I wanted to give this bike a little bit of age, even though it's a restoration. I feel like you really can't replicate the original chrome stuff. And as you can see, the original rim, this is a nice original Kelsey. I believe this is a 48 date code on this rim. And it was a really good candidate. It wasn't damaged. It had a little bit of rusting where they rust, but not too bad. And Wayne laced it up to a nice original paint hub that he rebuilt for me. These are the early version of these guide lower legs. You can see there's no flat, there's no square hex. I've done some posts on these. And these came from, Dave Bustamante. And they've been really good. I had them rebushed over at Jim's in Pennsylvania. There's some accessories on this front fender, this original guide fender. You can see it's got the flat straps and the rivet size. These are the bigger rivets. There's a nice original Hydroglide emblem. I put these on last year. I had them in my display case and I kept looking at them. I'm like, I'm just going to put them on the bike. Original stainless trim. These just are really nice survivor pieces. This fender tip came from my friend Paul Greenwood. There's your Buck Rogers light with the green plastic lens. There's your guide PH9 for parking light. And that lens came from my friend John Pierce. And John thought, well, the green will go really good with the blue. And I think he's right about that. I know he's right. And anybody that's ever drilled holes in a front fender, an original fender for that matter, knows how harrowing that could get. But I think these came out pretty nice. A lot of measuring. Some nice original, I call them cowbells. Some people call them beer cans or slider covers. There's some original hardware. These spotlight brackets were NOS. And they're correct for this 51. You can see the spot riveting. And some nice original SH2s and hardware, original hardware. And this has the flex nuts. Some original bezels on these lights and lenses, and you can see on the originals that the screw head goes in from the left side, and there's also a little notch out there. These have real nice reflectors, nice original chrome headlight, nice original shroud, a little over polished, but I'm hoping it'll dull down a little bit. I've got another set of sliders I got from Gary I'm going to put on this bike, just because they came from Gary. Passed away last year. And Gary was a really good friend at the end and a good mentor, and I bounced a lot of ideas off Gary. And this windshield came from my buddy Wayne, and it's really sunburned, but believe it or not, it kind of works. And you know, this original plastic stuff is what it is. And I just run this thing down low where I can see over it. There's the original mounting hardware. There's no designation on the hardware. There's just plain head. There's the shape of the original fork caps, original risers, riser cap. That's been re-chromed. And that was an NOS bracket that came in my turn signal kit, as well as the indicator. There's a nice leather Buco bag. I found this on eBay some years back, and the price was right. And it's rough. I had to do some stitching to repair some of the blown out stitches. Some nice original chrome handlebars and switches and retainers. And these grips came from my buddy Tim Nestor. These were on his 47. Original rear shrouds. And you could see the nice original wire loom for these switches, which you cannot replicate that. And this is an early switch. There's no hyphen between the H and the 5. It's just DH50. There's no slash mark. There's an original brake cable housing, original mirror, early mirror clamp, nice original horn button, original chrome, original hardware. There's a nice NOS perch. I got that retainer from my friend Lloyd Benson, old Uncle Lloyd. Got that over in Ole. Just had a great patina to it. There's that original chrome. You just can't replicate that. Now on these bars in 51, there was no reinforcement, so they get some cracking in them like they do. That's an original paint dampener. Original hardware. Notice it's got a little flat on the top there. That's from my buddy Lloyd again. There's your original wire loom. Nice tight wrap. Original Delco horn. It's been repainted. There's your original loom for your generator wires. Original paint end cap. You can see the wire ends there. It's got that crimp. You just can't replicate that. It's easy to restore something and make it look perfect, but at the end of the day, I think what I really want to look at is what this stuff looked like originally. And that's why original paint bikes are so important in preserved motorcycles. And there's your weep hole on the timer cover. Original clip, hardware, base. These are really nice aluminum tappet blocks. They're standard bore. I believe I got this rear from Gary Margoni. There's an M74 carburetor. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but this was a nice Survivor, and I sent this to my friend Mark Newberman, and he went through it, and it's been a perfectly running carburetor, just absolutely seamless. Nice original chrome air cleaner. I got this out in Ole. And again, this is a restoration, but at the same time, I don't mind if this stuff has some imperfection from age, because at the end of the day, it's an old motorcycle. There's your original chrome plated badging for 51. I believe this is 51 or early 52 only. That's original mounting screws. There's some original Tall Eaton caps. I believe I got one of these from Jim Snow and one from Todd out in California. It's a nice Survivor speedometer. And that was sent to John Bordis, and he went through it and rebuilt it. It really is calibrated perfectly. A nice original switch, the rivet. You can see the switch height there. A lot of research. A lot of research. Here's your early lens, early glass lens, Coke bottom, Coke bottle, rather. Here's your gentleman's choke. This is an original. Nice little block off plate there. That's an original. Original dash rubber. Original tank divider. There's your early remote filter. This is the second version. It's got that little adapter in there, so that fitting doesn't thread directly into the top. There's a nice acorn nut that my friend Matt Olson sent me from Carl's. Sent it as a gift. And most likely these weren't on these early Hydroglides, but Matt sent it to me. It was a gift, and I wanted to put it on there. There's some original CAD plated brass fittings, original lines. These have a flared end, original switch, pump, original timer bracket. Let me go back up here. These are original control coils, and I just wanted to use as much original material as possible, even though it's a restoration. The paint is single stage, and that was done by my friend Dave Clemens down in Florida. Now this rear header is from, what are they called? The guys out in Ohio. I can't even think of it right now, but it's a really good reproduction. I've got an original header in the house, but they really nailed the shape. This is Jesse. Somebody will chime in, and I just can't remember the name. And that's a beautiful early slinky. That's got the nice tight coils. And this came from my friend Tim Nestor. He's got two beautiful original motorcycles. He's got that 49 Hydroglide. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that. And he's got a 47 Nuck that's just pristine. And those are kind of hard to come by, those feed lines. And this is a later style, which would be correct for this 51. It's more of an angle there. And there's your correct hardware for the mounting plate, original hardware, and direction. Because if you look in your parts book, it's going to show those bolts going in the other way. That's the way they should be. Original hardware on that tranny cover. Original kicker arm. And I had that machine because the bushing, or rather the shaft on the arm, was pretty well worn. Nice original kicker pedal. It's a new old stock original end cap. Again, I like using the old stuff that shows some age. These are nice kicker pedal blocks and original floorboard mats. And again, like, I don't mind if there's some wear on that rubber. I mean, it's going to get used, and I do ride the motorcycle. That oil tank obviously has been repainted. That's an original toolbox has been repainted, as well as the frame, as you can see. Nice stainless steel covers, laminated D-rings. There are no Allen screws on the back on these early D-rings on 51s. These came out for the 51 model year. A nice original paint battery cover. I got this from my buddy Wayne. And I like using turn signals on these old bikes, so these are original guide lights. I got these from my friend Paul Greenwood, and they're just nice original chrome survivors. As you can see, it's got the original wiring, and the wiring is original for the turn signals, which came in the kit. It's a nice super soft buddy seat. I got this probably like 7 years ago. And once you ride one of these things, you just don't want to go back. I've had solo seats on here. I've had a restored seat. But this, I just love the leather, the softness of this leather, and the cush ride. And that's some bling I had, and that's the name of my son, Frank. Also, my grandfather was Frank. That was an NOS rear crash bar. You can see it's got the it's got the vice marks in it. Some of these have dimples. It's original paint buddy seat stuff, springs and yokes, and the yoke is a little rough, but it's got the right shape, and until I find a better one, that's staying on there. That's original paint, a spring clip. So 51, or I should say sometime in 1950, they had a pig snout transmission end cover. Probably later 50s. And these went up into 51. He's got the nickel-plated bearing. There's original wiring for this brake switch and oil pressure switch. Original timer wire, which is a little bit thicker gauge. There's a really nice chrome squash pipe. So 51 would have had a chrome squash pipe and a chrome Y pipe. And this Y pipe is a beautiful original. This was NOS. I got this from my friend Stuart Zay. And that squash pipe came from Gary Margoni. So this would have had painted head pipes. That's a nice original front pipe. There's your original long tip muffler. Long tip because it's got the long end tip. And nothing sounds like these going down the road. They just have such a great sound at idle. And they're getting really hard to find. I mean, this one's not perfect. I cleaned it up the best I could. But the internals are good. And that's where it counts. These are some nice original bags, spoon bags. I had Mike Paquette put straps on these, and I conditioned them as best I could. I mean, they're old leather, and they are what they are, but you know what? You can't replicate this stuff. You can't replicate it. There's some original private stripes. I want to talk about these rivets. My friend John Pierce, I went out to visit him up in New Hampshire, and we went riding one day, and he noticed the rivets on the bike had a lot of blending. Well, that's a long story. But John took this fender. I went up there, and we worked on it together, and John replaced these rivets, and he blended his paint over the paint that was on the bike, and you cannot see where the blend starts and ends. I think he started it underneath where these private stripes are, but it's a really perfect match. And again, this bike gets ridden and you cannot see it at all the way he blended it. There's a nice original chrome taillight. There's your original guide lens. This is not a Guide X. I believe this is a 3 mold, 3 or 4. Original accessory rear bumper. There's your clips. There's your unobtainium front middle clip with the D-ring washer, or the D-washer rather. So it gets that special reinforcing washer there. There's a lot of detail when you're doing a restoration, and that's really, you know, it's all comes down to research. There's some early saddle clamps. You see how nice that fits on the frame. Those are nice originals. There's your wiring. There's the correct location of the wiring to the rear tail light. It runs on the outside of the frame. It's held on with that round clip there. Original coil. It's been repainted. These were dipped originally, so all your insulators and everything would have been black. And there's that timer wire. Got that from my friend Lloyd. The original inner primary cover. And it's hard to it's hard to copy these things. I mean, you kind of gotta find original stuff if you really want to do it right. There's original. That derby cover's been re-chromed. That's original hardware. That's an original chrome inspection cover. Original paint rear chain guard. I've got an extra washer in there because I broke the tab on that inner primary this year, so I'm going to have to braze that, repair that. That's going to come apart this winter. So I've got another set of heads going on that I got from Advance. They'll be going on this winter if possible. And I've got some cylinders and low compression pistons, so that's kind of the plan. So that's a little bit of a walk around. This is just a really good running bike. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a journey. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to post a comment. Everybody have a great holiday and a great new year ahead.